Hello guys, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Tessie. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all, depending on where you are watching from. Hope you all are doing well, and thank you so much for stopping by. So before we continue with today's news and videos, I saw this particular video where the deputy president of Kenya was disgracing the whole of the 54 country in Africa. I saw this video, a whole lot of people are reacting to it, and I said let me bring it to you guys to watch. Just take a look at this video. Yeah. We are really in trouble in Africa. That is the president. That is the vice president of Kenya disgracing himself and the whole of Africa in presence of his guests. All right, my people, and that is it for you all. A very unfortunate incident happened in Nigeria, which a whole lot of people are talking about, where the Nigerian military dropped a bomb in Kaduna that killed almost, I think, more than 84 civilians or 85 civilians. And this is very sad and unfortunate because this is not the first time such a thing will be happening in Nigeria. And this is what you get when you have a bunch of incompetent people in office. So when we talk about competence and capability in this country, it's not as if maybe we are joking. These are the reason why we say it. Because when you put one incompetent person in office, expect more, 99 of another incompetent people, because best of the same feather, they say, flock together. So here we have the army telling their own part of the story. But this, I must say, is very sad and unfortunate incident. And what makes it more sad is that this is not the first time such a thing will be happening in Nigeria. You can't just be dropping bomb on people, innocent civilians, as if maybe they are just animals. Let's take a look at this video. Please, before we continue, I want to beg you to please help me by liking and sharing this video so that YouTube and Facebook can recommend it to more people. Let's watch.
First, let me establish first of all, I mean, most armies in the world are known for ground operations, while the Air Force actually are known for air operations. Is there an overlap between the operations of the military, the army, and the Air Force? Why was the Air Force not part of the operation?
Thank you very much. As you know, we operate in a joint operation. Jointness is what we operate on now, and which means everybody has a role to play. The army has air, because you understand that we have the army aviation have been established. The Air Force has its own, and the drones are also, these are enablers that we use for modern warfare. And so the pilots are well trained and well prepared for the operation. I just want to remind individuals that it is a war we're fighting, and mistakes, we make mistakes. As human beings, we all make mistakes, and this is just one of them. It was not deliberate. They were on after receiving an information on the threat of attack within the general area, and they followed up, and they saw the threat of individuals moving similarly, just the way the terrorists also move, and then they went to congregate under a tree, just the way it is. And I think from there they felt it was time for them to act, and then they reacted. It was based on intelligence, but I think they just missed it. And we just want to convey to Nigerians to understand that mistakes are human, and it is highly regrettable. And we'll make amends. I will ensure that we look back and see where these mistakes came from, and then to be able to make sure that we get them properly and to avoid such mistakes. It is our duty to protect civilians, not to harm them, especially our own citizens. It is highly unfortunate. This is what we call similarly to blue on blue, when you hit your own inadvertently, and it is highly regrettable.
General Christopher Musa, thank you. The Arewa Forum for Good Governance is beginning to make statements against you. That group is saying that they are accusing you of conniving with the Nigerian army against certain people that you think are not of your ethnicity in Kaduna State, to attack them. This is a direct and a heavy allegation against you. How do you react to this?
I think it's highly unfortunate. And, you know, you always understand that when situations like this happen, emotions run very high, and then people tend to have different emotions in how they react to issues. But it's highly unfortunate. It's highly regrettable. It's an ongoing operation that has been on for a long while, and we're trying to make sure that we're putting our best to ensure that we defeat the terrorists. And mistakes do happen. Nothing has to do with tribe, religion, ethnicity, or this or that. It's, anybody who has that kind of thought, I think, is not being truthful, is not being sincere about it. That community has both Christians and Muslims within the community, so it is not even just one tribe. And we have tribes from other areas that are also farming within the general area. So sometimes when people don't have full information, they tend to react differently to it. But the community is not totally one ethnic group or one religion. We have, it's just like normal Nigerian communities. It's a mixture of Christians, Muslims, people from different tribes that are within that community. And unfortunately, this happened. We are professional soldiers. We don't take sides whether which area you come, which zone you come from. We look at these things and deal with it dispassionately. This is a grave mistake that is regrettable, and we will take measures to ensure that it is being addressed. That's
quite reassuring. But how can you further reassure Nigerians, CDS, that you know, that this will not happen again, or at least it will be minimized? I mean, it's not the first or the second time that you'd have, you know, this unfortunate collateral damage. But let's go back to a point you raised earlier. I mean, in the 80s, G222 planes were actually, you know, provided for to establish the Army aviation. But those aircraft were handed over to the Air Force, almost indicating that maybe the Army are not able to handle this aircraft. Speak to us about why the aircraft were handed over to the Air Force. And is there some kind of overlapping or ego situation between the Air Force and the Army?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people will want to see to it that we have a kind of conflict between us. No, for this set of commanders we have, the armed forces operates jointly. And because of this kind of asymmetric warfare we are facing, every armed force needs to be complemented. Now, the Navy has helicopters, the Navy has ships, the Navy has special forces. The Air Force have fixed wings, they have helicopters, they have special forces. The Army has special forces, land forces, they have amphibious forces, and they also have helicopters, including drones. Now, you know, in every warfare, drones pay strategic importance. They are very, very relevant in what we do. What we need to do now is to scrutinize it more on how we use them and how we will deploy them, and so that we can improve on their capabilities and their actions, because we have seen that it is very, very important to be very detailed. If you remember, I've been the theater commander Operation Hadinka in the Northeast. I was there for 19 months. I just left in January. And we have had a series of times, similar situations, that we had to call off strikes just because we felt civilians were involved. We had to call off strikes. And I can tell you for free that this operation is prolonged because most times when we go to strike and there are civilians, we have to avoid striking. Otherwise, I mean, if you know, remember during the conventional kind of warfare, Vietnam to be precise, you carpet bomb. We have situations like that, you just go up, but nowadays you have to be very, very precise on what you do, on where you are striking, and because we have precision weapons that we're using. Like I said, this one was followed. If you saw the footage, it was just the way the terrorists used to move. It was the way they used to congregate together. That was what I felt, the pilot felt, and he had to engage. But we're going to review it, and then we're going to make sure that we're more precise in the future. Whatever it is that has happened is highly, highly regrettable. But I want to assure Nigerians that the armed forces is one. We're one team, we're one big family. There is no in-house fighting whatsoever. Together, we are together, and together we handle the situation very well.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask if there was a synergy between Nigerian Air Force aviation and the Nigerian Army. Well, speak to us about the impact.
Fantastic. It has never been better.
Okay, good. Now, speak to us about the impact this will have on the general fight on terrorism in Nigeria.
Yeah, okay. I think it just make us to fine-tune our operations to make sure that it's more precise. And why it is important for us to do that is if we, like I've heard a lot of comments from very, very important personalities to the effect that it was deliberate, it was targeted. You know, one thing we should try and avoid is when we don't have full information, we should wait to get details before we react. And it's really unfortunate when you hear very senior individuals talking on things they don't really understand or they don't know anything about. We visited there together with the Minister for State. We visited the hospital. We saw those that were injured. The Chief of Army Staff was there earlier. He had visited the site and had seen what had happened. And so on general term is for us to continue with the operations. This is a setback, but we're bouncing back and bouncing back bullishly. We'll continue to do that because for the terrorists, this kind of negative information, once because all of us are fighting for the hearts and minds of the citizens, they will be happy such a thing is going, and they'll be happy with such comments from such individuals. It will booster them to want to do more, so that they can make sure that they demoralize my troops. And once they demoralize the troops now will not be scared, will be afraid to react, and we don't want that to happen. We want them to be sure what they're doing. We know they have been doing a good job. We want to encourage them to continue to do it, but then we'll be more careful.
Quite good to know. But I mean, you did talk about setting in motion an investigation. What window are we looking at? When will the investigations be concluded? And when are Nigerians likely to, I mean, when will the investigations be made public? The investigation is starting off immediately, and once we get all the details from the investigation, the public will be informed on the outcome. But I can assure you that the military has remained very, very open, very professional in our conduct. Yes, we do make mistakes. We're humans, but we avoid those mistakes as much as possible. And for Nigerians to continue to support the military, if you denigrate your military, you are only doing it at the ripples, because once you demoralize your troops, they will not be able to act, and we will not want that. Most of us are sitting in our offices and homes. You go home and you sleep well because the military is there sleepless, just to ensure that you go about doing your own business. So I think they deserve some commendation. They deserve some support. And I think all Nigerians should be able to support their military. Absolutely. Before we let you go, CDS, I mean, consistently over the years, security has had the largest chunk in the budget. This for 2024, security will be getting about 3 trillion naira. In terms of funding, will you say that the military is well funded, equipped enough to actually push back on the activities of terrorists? What is the situation with all of the things that you need?
Frankly speaking, the regime of President Tinubu has actually shown us commitment. You can see the budget, what has been projected. In the past, yes, you hear large sums of money is being approved for the military, but the question is, how much do we get? I think that's always very important. And that's why, even to my challenge to you as a journalist, always try and find out how much was released, how much did the commanders get? And if you're able to do that, you know. And then you know we don't manufacture any of the items we use. We buy them in dollars. And so if you look at the amount that has been released and convert them to dollars, how much are they, how much? For example, the 1 billion that was released for in the past, these 12 Super Tucanos that were bought for over $600 million out of 1 billion. That's almost gone.